Medical disclaimer. Please note that the information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen, including starting new therapies, supplements, or treatments. While we discuss cutting-edge research and advancements in cellular medicine, individual health needs vary and professional guidance is essential. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that neither Dr. Seeds nor the podcast team is providing personalized medical recommendations.
On today's episode of Redox Revolution, we're going to talk about exercise and its influences on the brain. This is going to be good. Welcome to another episode of Redox Revolution with Matt and Maddie.
Hello.
Matt and Maddie, how you guys doing? Are you glad to be back?
Maddie, you look ready for the Hawaii Mastermind.
Thank you. I'm letting out my inner Hawaiian spirit.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying.
That is going to be, as it has been in the past, an awesome mastermind in Hawaii.
Aesthetics from the inside out.
From the inside out,
The
baby.
way it meant to do
Lots
it.
of things coming in that one. I mean, bring an A game there for sure. But is it great to be back with me? You're both enjoying this?
Oh, yeah. Great to be back with you for sure.
Matt?
I always enjoy this. My job's easy. I just kind of wind you up a little bit and then let you go.
Oh, boy.
Little wind-up toy.
Speaking of winding up,
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like today is actually one of your favorite topics, even though you have a lot of favorite topics. But we're going to talk about...
Is it about Drew?
No.
Is it
okay.
about skiing?
Skiing.
No.
Wow.
Well, you know what? It might be a little bit about skiing.
Ooh.
Today, we're talking about the power of exercise for optimal health and healing, specifically the ways that exercise affects the brain.
Ooh.
So,
Oh, like that's like giving me that's like a chip shot to in the hole for me.
so you've been talking about exercise as one of the most effective ways to improve health and enhance health span, and we've just beat this drum forever. So today, I'd like for you to help us understand how exercise can help improve brain functioning, because, in this day and age of lots of technological stimulants, decreased attention span, and other ways that just life in general is challenging our brain, how can exercise come to the aid?
Well, I'm
Before you start,
Did she just give me the finger?
yeah,
The finger like that? Well,
I did.
What if I did
Because you
this?
brought in the wrong cup. You're throwing off the whole set.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're not using a Redox Revolution
I thought
branded
something-
mug?
You
I thought
had
something
one
looked-
job today.
I thought something looked different.
You know what? That's okay. Most people listen to the audio, but if you are one of the people who watches the videos, because we do produce videos of these,
Dr. Seeds messed up.
has a non-branded mug. Ridiculous. All right, exercise coming to the aid.
All right. Well, you guys always hear me talk about muscle.
Yeah.
Muscle.
Biggest endocrine gland in your body.
Grand.
Biggest endocrine
Endocrine
gland.
gland.
Gland. That's
Gland.
right. 40% of your body is muscle, right? So
And
this
it's like
is
metabolic currency, right?
metabolic current. This is it. I mean, I talk about how important muscle is, and muscle is important, absolutely right, for function, and but it all comes. If you ask me why I'm here today, with where I feel my brain just keeps getting better and better and better, it's from exercise and it's from building muscle. And there is no doubt in my mind, to myself, that I've proven that that's, to me, it's, even though I'm conscious of my schmedium shirts that I like to wear. By the way, I heard
Schmedium on the news yesterday.
I heard Kirk Herbstreit on ESPN talking about one of the players and how he liked his schmedium, and I'm like, wait a second, how does he know about Matt's word schmedium? And I guess
That's
it's
a term. I didn't make it up.
I thought you made it up.
No.
Oh no, it's a term, but it's it's becoming a thing. So maybe there actually will be a medium size one day.
I think it was when I heard him say schmedium about this player, I was like, hey, all right, I'm not so bad after all, huh? But what was I talking about? Muscle and brain?
Even though you wear your schmediums,
Oh,
you feel.
and I'm all about, I want to work out. I want to get stronger. I want to look good at my age and look like I can do something. By the way,
can you do something?
By the way, I'm ahead of it. I'm turning 64 here. This is coming up soon, and it's probably going to be. I'll already be 64 by the time this gets out. But I feel like I'm not even at my optimal yet, and it's because of exercise, and my brain is just growing every day because of what I'm doing to train my muscle to influence what I know. Again, mechanistically, the mechanistic biology, these molecular pathways, I'm taking advantage of what I know is been proven to improve disease states of the brain, but also have been proven to, what am I looking for and what do my patients demand? We want improved executive function, improved cognition, improved learning, improved retainment. I'm looking to do that every day. And there is no doubt about it that resistance training and muscle has a very, very large part of that. And it's been, again, I'm not just saying this, there is so much literature out there now confirming these processes and actually talking more about the pathways, which is just fantastic. And don't let me sell short the aerobic exercise, because aerobic exercise can add to that. But the base of this, and I can either hijack this and keep going and talk more about this and the relevance of, okay, well, what does exercise actually do for the brain?
Here, I'll ask you one pointed question to dive into some of that stuff. So how does exercise's anti-inflammatory effects help with stuff like brain resilience?
Anti-inflammatory. Okay, here's a good way to look at that. So instead of looking at what is exercise's anti-inflammatory activity on the brain due to enhance resilience, let's reword that. Let's look at what does exercise, in particular, let's start with strength and then we'll go to aerobic. What does that do to improve resilience to offset potential inflammatory mediators that are going to affect a neuron, for example, because that may be a better way to look at it. Does that make sense, what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's look at exercise in itself. How do we start? So when we're looking at exercise, what are we trying to do? We're trying to improve in the brain. When we're talking about brain, first of all, we're trying to improve the network. Synaptic plasticity is a good word. Let's start with synaptic plasticity. There's synaptic plasticity, there's structural plasticity, there's functional plasticity.
What is the basic of what those plasticities
So plasticity is just circuitry. It's improving the circuitry and connections.
Okay.
And so think of it as, here's a good example.
Oh, the chair's starting to spin again.
Oh my.
Think of something like, what do you use Miracle Glow to throw on plants to make them like sprout? And
Yeah.
think of BDNF as Miracle Glow.
Grow.
Oh, grow. Yeah, sorry, grow. So when I'm looking at synaptic plasticity, I'm trying to improve all these little communications that come. So you have an axon that you have a neuron, and then you have an axon that comes out from the neuron, and you have all these dendrites. And those dendrites are all these connections that connect to other dendrites. And they're constantly being pruned and rebuilt and to improve connectivity. Well, I want more of it, right? Because I got a lot I got to think about, right? I got to deal with you two. I got to deal with Drew. I got a lot of stuff going on. So I want all the connectivity I can get. And that's synaptic plasticity. Now, so what I want to do, so in improving those connections, it's okay, well, how do I improve the structure of doing that, right? Now we'll get into structural plasticity. How do I improve the dendritic, what's called arborization, of rebuilding these highways and getting information, right, between brain cells, right? It's all about connectivity. I want to improve brain-derived neurotropic factor, BDNF. So, okay, BDNF, what is that? Well, that's a very critical neuropeptide that works in improving the connectivity, the dendritic arborization, the function by or the cellular function of the cell of
Isn't
the
it
of
the
neuron,
master regulator?
of the brain. Yeah, and what it does is it's really cool. It works. I'm just going to mention a couple of these things for people that want to know.
Keep going, yeah.
It works on improving through three different pathways. It works on the PI3K AKT mechanism to sustain resilience of the neuron, like you talked about resilience, to help the neuron be more resilient and not die. Then it also acts through the MAPK ERK pathway that works on growth. That's the dendritic arborization of the dendrites and and connectivity. And then it has another way where it works through this PLC gamma, to calcium release in the NMDA receptor, that works on improving the signaling, and that has to do then with improving AMPA receptors and improving learning and long-term potentiation, all these things that are so cool. So BDNF plays this incredible role in the brain to create this environment for you to improve cognition, improve executive function, improve resilience, improve survival, to make your brain better and better and better. And also, those are things we work on when you have problems with
Stress.
stress or metabolic problems like insulin resistance, which everybody so weird. People are talking about this new thing about type 3 diabetes and insulin resistance in the brain. Hello, this shit's been going on forever. Like where I don't get this social media shit where people just.
That's where the experts are. Duh.
Yeah, I'm bad about that. I got to stop doing that. Because you're gonna be like, well, what are you doing on there? Like you guys try to get me off of it.
I want to log
All
you out
the
of your
time.
account yesterday.
Yeah, you do. You give me. But I like to.
Oh,
see,
did you like that idea I had though? Where we just log you out completely of
Yes,
your account?
yes.
Okay.
I do like that.
But then he's going to be mad because he's like, well, I still want to know what these people are talking about. But then he gets mad at what they're talking about. And I'm like,
yeah, it's a good way for me to keep up on stuff though for when because our patients seem to ask similar questions about like those people that
they
are
know your trigger words,
like
it seems.
they know the trigger docs out there, or people who say they're doctors or say they're people who then hold, they'll be reading from this paper about a paper that has no relevance. Like, hey, have you ever taken care of anybody? Do you realize this doesn't work like that? Anyways, let me get back to BDNF. So
let's go back. Yep.
So BDNF. So what am I going to do if I know BDNF is something that has all that activity, and we know now with more and more research that BDNF is so important in depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. I mean, that it's becoming this neuropeptide that is getting its due respect now because of how important it is to influence. And so then you say, okay, if you know this and you know how this improves all the things I've talked about, well, what can you do in your life to change that? Well, let's go to exercise. And let's talk about a couple things. Let's just talk about, I want to kind of put a couple things together for people, but let's realize that for the sake of argument that muscle resistance training does what? It actually improves BDNF, like your muscle can make BDNF.
Interesting.
Yeah, your muscle can make BDNF and it can have an effect on the brain. Now it can get to the brain, but it can have. It's not as a big effect as what's made in the brain, but your muscle can make BDNF. And so let's back up with that. So your muscle can make BDNF, and BDNF can get to the brain, and then it can be utilized because it activates this what's called the TRKB receptor. And the TRKB receptor is the on switch, basically, where it says, BDNF, let's connect. And then all of the signaling takes place in the neuron, and there's retrograde transmission of BDNF into the axon and then to the nucleus. It's just this continual process of how you can influence that. Well, okay, so let's go back to exercise. So exercise can improve muscle strength. Muscle strengthening can improve BDNF release. Well, also, muscle can release something called irisin. Irisin is something that is made from muscle that's activated by. You look bored while I'm talking.
No, I had an itch in my eye.
Well, you're not allowed to have an itch in your eye.
You're
when
not
he's
allowed to have
talking.
an itch when I'm talking about some really important shit.
Keep going. You just distracted yourself.
Irisin.
Irisin is released from the cell membrane. It's actually activated by enzymes from strength exercise that will. Let's back up again, I guess.
Ooh, we're in like 3 reverses right now.
I want to make sure people really know that there's these mechanisms. It gets back to this process of, hey,
people love this. It's great.
Here's a process of where, let's just say strength training in itself. Does strength training improve AMPK? Yes, it does. And there's an AMPK activation, but there is also the further activation of what? PGC1 alpha. That PGC1 alpha is that master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis we talk about, but it also activates FNDC5, which is what goes to the membrane and is cleaved by these enzymes to make irisin.
Cleaved.
It's like a pro molecule. It cleaves, it cuts it, so that irisin comes out of the FNDC5. And it happens in the membrane, and it releases irisin. Well, irisin goes to the brain. And what does irisin do? Irisin is an upregulator of what?
BDNF.
BDNF.
Boom.
In the neuron, in the astrocyte, it does it. So where's BDNF most important in upregulation? And hippocampus, amygdala, the cortices of the brain. Those are the big places where, and the big players, the hippocampus with memory and stuff. But those are the bigger places with BDNF, and that irisin will activate BDNF, more BDNF production. Well, let's even go a step back here further. That's so cool here, okay? This is where it gets really fun. So muscle, so when we work out, what do we always hear about? So we're working out and people get all concerned that they're building up a little bit of what?
Lactic acid.
Lactate. Let's not get into the acid part. Let's just call it lactate.
Whatever. I said the same thing she said, and I felt like I contributed, so I'm happy.
Good job, Matt.
Thank you.
So this is the cool part of why you make lactate, right? Mm-hmm. Think of the energy demands of the brain. Let's go back. What is the brain's main source of energy? Is it glucose or fatty acids? Glucose, right, because people, they get confused. But the brain is all about glucose. It's why insulin resistance, if the neuron is not getting glucose, there are some problems because it has the most demand for energy. Well, when you're exercising or you're running away from that dinosaur that wants to eat you, you want your brain working the best it can, right?
Sure do.
Well, lactate, so you're running, you're making lactate in muscle. That lactate is an added fuel for the neuron because the neuron can use lactate through a monocarboxylic acid transporter. It can use lactate as a source of energy to convert to pyruvate and then go through the Krebs cycle and oxidative phosphorylation to make ATP and NAD.
That's a good question.
I'm going to lose my thought.
Keep going.
We're running from that dinosaur right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to get eaten if you don't let me go here.
The fight or flight is upregulating itself.
Yeah, and so that lactate is an energy source for the neuron. Well, hello, I want that with exercise, right? That's very important because there's going to be more demands on the brain. And I also want to do what? Let's think about this. You're also going to get lactate from another source through the astrocyte. The astrocyte, there's this lactate astrocyte shuttle to the neuron, where the neuron will use, or the astrocyte will convert glucose to lactate, and it also will store glycogen and so forth. But it'll use lactate to give to the neuron as a source of glucose also. It's how it supports. It's how we're supporting the neuron all the time. Well, what's really cool here are, again, these mechanisms. If you know the mechanisms, you know the molecular pathways, life is so awesome. And so there's this HCAR1 receptor that is on the neuron and also on the astrocyte that's activated by lactate. Lactate activates HCAR1. HCAR1 activates
BDNF.
Close. It activates VEGF. Vascular endothelial growth factor, which is, why do you want that? So this is where it gets really awesome, right?
Stomps.
You want the brain all of a sudden it's rewiring quickly to activate, to exercise. And what do I want what's important to get to the brain?
Glucose.
How do you get glucose to the brain?
Exercise.
How does that get to the brain? Cerebral blood flow. So we want blood flow to bring oxygen to those neurons to optimize. The more blood flow we get, cerebral blood flow, the more glucose, the more, and how does that and we want more in the connectivity area, right? So we're going to, vascular endothelial growth factor causes what? Angiogenesis in the brain.
Ooh.
It activates angiogenesis. What does angiogenesis activate?
Maybe tell everyone what angiogenesis is too, as well, so they know.
Angiogenesis is the development of new vascular supply area, very small vessels, kind of like that circuitry I talked about, of the brain, of the dendritic arborization and synapses that it's the blood vessels, and we want more available blood to the brain, and we get angiogenesis, which through vascular endothelial growth factor, which does what? Vascular endothelial growth factor influences BDNF.
No
Wow.
way.
Yes.
Whoa.
Is like think of this. Think of this. I just went through all the steps. Again, how cool these molecular pathways are if you understand what you're doing, and then that takes us to another step of what you see us do in clinic, of where we work on these issues with Parkinson's and cognitive dysfunction and pediatric hereditary deficits and all these things that we're trying to influence brain connectivity.
Yeah.
So if you know a couple of these are just some minor things, or I shouldn't say minor. These are just some very well studied, well established molecular mechanisms of influencing the neuron and its ability to be more resilient, to handle more energy, because basically, the other thing is you're trying to make sure that you're also improving those, like I said, those NMDA receptors that are all about the synapse of a nerve too. And I don't want to get too crazy with that, but
Can I
Go
ask
ahead.
my question?
Yeah, go ahead.
yes, now you can, because I just
Can you drink from that cup?
because
No.
I just beat the dinosaur,
Oh,
and I'm hiding,
congratulations.
ready to wait to go back and kick his ass when he's asleep.
I see him in the corner. So you know how, for just like general, when you're in a glucose dominant state and that's what your body's using for energy, that's not the most efficient form of energy. It's the fatty acids, correct? But is the brain different where glucose is more efficient than like using your own fat for energy?
Yeah, well, so there's no fatty, it's not utilizing fatty, because the brain cell's designed for quick, for
They want the quick.
big energy and quick, and needs to be changing constantly. It's a glucose dominant, but glucose doesn't stop through glycolysis. It goes through Krebs cycle, and it goes through oxidative phosphorylation. It's not like you need a lot of fatty acids to help that cell be more flexible. It's just more glucose oriented. And that's why, this is a great question, that's why it's more susceptible to insulin resistance than anywhere else in the body, because it doesn't have that fatty acid influence
Like the rest.
like the other cells do, to make it a little more resilient before insulin affects it. And hence why ketone esters are just amazing.
It's an instant glucose source that goes right to the brain.
Well, it's not it's an instant energy source,
Yeah.
you mean? Yep, but you're right.
Thanks.
It's an energy source that goes right that gets to the brain, but goes right to the mitochondria and goes right into forming acetyl-CoA and taking care of business, right? Building back NADH ratio, building back NADPH to NADP for the master regulatory nuclear cofactor of oxidative phosphorylation, and of
Redox?
of oxidative NFR2 stuff, like superoxide dismutase, glutathione peroxidase, hemoxygenase 1, all those things that are.
It's interesting
And
you brought up.
well, let me go back. I
Okay.
haven't even finished.
the chair's turning again.
So what's even more? So what else is happening in this machinery of the brain? You're making. You're supposed to be producing what? Serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine, norepinephrine. These are all important. You need that NADPH as a cofactor with BH4 to assist the tyrosine hydroxylase for serotonin, the tryptophan hydroxylase, tyrosine hydroxylase, tryptophan hydroxylase, phenylalanine hydroxylase, nitric oxide synthase. For neuronal, you need that. So it just all comes together, right? This is what's just fascinating with, if you understand how exercise is just so crucial, then you will never stop, and it's one of my main motivators, because I can tell you when I'm not working out, my brain is not, if I
feel foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost some time. That's exactly right. I can tell before I start, I can tell quickly if I'm losing size, which is just tough, right? With travel, and then I don't look good in my mediums, and it's like, what's going on? Well, my brain goes before that. Like, I can tell it's coming, and I'm like, fuck, how am I missing, that gym sucked in Singapore, or actually it was a pretty good one, wherever, but you know what I'm trying to say, right?
A couple episodes back when we were talking about how messed up my workout routine is, one of the things I enjoy the most about lifting that late is like the entirety of my work day is behind me, and it feels like I'm just flushing everything out mentally when I work out at the end of the day.
Well, hey, there's a lot to be said. Again, don't let me put things too regimented. There's a lot to be said about exercise, and that you're doing it. And we haven't even gotten into the stress issues of life, and how anything you can do to mitigate stress, I think, is a huge,
especially after that conference we went to in New York, where they just validated it.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of research papers, and it's funny you bring up the fatty acid stuff.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed how at our SSRP peptide therapy certification, when you were talking about exercise and everything, I loved that moment you took on stage where you were really gratified that this new study finally showed something that you've been saying all along about the power of exercise to support cell adaptation. I'm going to read the title of the article real quick. It's that one about how
he paid attention.
He must have been.
CHCHD4 TRIAP1. Sorry if that's just a complete, but it's a lot of letters. Regulation of innate immune signaling mediates skeletal muscle adaptation to exercise. And this paper kind of starts with that whole fatty acid oxidation. Yeah. It's I know you're going to be doing I think you're going to be doing a blog and then maybe one of our SSRP videos on this as well, but still.
I talked about it in Mastermind because it was it's something I've been struggling to. I've been discussing the pathway of okay, so this goes into a little different space of how exercise. What's important about like aerobic,
the myokines and chemo.
No. What's the importance of exercise? We're talking about the brain. We can relate it also to where we want to improve oxidative metabolism, right? So oxidative metabolism just means you're taking advantage of using oxygen and making energy, and that has to do with more mitochondria in muscle. You can take up more oxygen and make more energy, and so
exercise can give you more mitochondria in your muscle, correct?
Correct, and here's it's why we've always been we've been discussing these steps of what's actually happening for me, it's been a struggle because I want to know every step. Mm-hmm. And I was making assumptions, but I was trying to validate it for everyone that, hey, look, in order to build muscle, right, the cell has to adapt, meaning there's some things that have to happen which may not be good, that on a chronic basis, if they're not, like releasing these cytokines and chemokines that can be bad things to make the cell adapt and grow and repair. Well, the mechanisms, I use that as a general way of making people understand that cells have to change incredibly flexible and efficient. And so in the mitochondria, I know where that happens. And I know that the mitochondria, the cell membrane, the inner membrane, is so important in how it holds on to this thing called cardiolipin, which is a fatty acid that is important. It's a phospholipid fatty acid. It's important in what it does to connect the cytochromes of oxidative phosphorylation to the inner membrane to move and adapt to energy. Well, and what you need in the brain and so forth. So, make a long story short, I had always said the signaling came from the mitochondria, and I'd always said there has to be a connection between metabolism and the immune system. Mm-hmm. I've never wavered from it. I said it always has to be there, and I even implicated the gas-sting pathway had a place in this, and you're letting me talk about stuff where people are going, what the fuck is he talking about? But all I want to say is...
Potty mouth.
So the CHCHD4 is this enzyme, or it's this protein that's in the inner membrane that actually has to decrease to affect that TRP1 that you're talking about, to decrease actually the amount of cardiolipin. And what happens is when you decrease cardiolipin, and you think, well, you want cardiolipin, but you need, again, these are the bad things that happen. You got to decrease cardiolipin to activate these pores in the membrane to release mitochondrial DNA into the cytoplasm to activate this gas-sting pathway that then activates, or it actually inhibits MyoD, and MyoD is what then, by inhibiting it, you can activate the oxidative. You can cause a muscle fiber switch to an oxidative muscle fiber, meaning you can take a fiber that is less oxidative, that doesn't have as many mitochondria. You're making it more oxidative. So it's why people who sit around have less oxidative muscle and they're less efficient, and you can go through all the steps. Well, those were the steps missing, was this CHCHD4 and the TRP1 and the loss of cardiolipin. So here's where so you're going to be like, what? How does this all make sense? It's because if that mitochondria is not efficient and it's dysfunctional, then that cardiolipin itself gets messed up in how much is available and not available. And that affects this whole stream of then converting the innate immune system to activate, because of the gas-sting pathway. That's an innate immune response, because what you're doing is you're activating NFKB, and NFKB is affecting MyoD. All right, so that's it. I know, you're like, what the fuck? But I've been working over 8 years trying to figure out, and I mean, I didn't know the answer, and then this paper comes through, and it just, bam, mechanisms make sense, pathways make sense. Holy smokes, they proved it. They proved that this cardiolipin, that you need to lose a little bit, that it's such a big player, that there is a real process of affecting this CHCHD4, which I think we'll find more about in older people. It just opens the door to so many mechanisms for me.
Yeah.
I heard you going down the route of older individuals, right?
Yeah.
So that was actually going to be my next question for
How did we get onto this?
Wait,
based
before
on the
that
brain?
question, can I ask a question?
No, because I had the perfect segue.
But what I wanted to say is for me, I only get those things. I get so many of these
validations
and nuggets thrown at me. That one took 8 years. 8 years. Like I can't tell you how excited I was to see that paper, and I probably cried a little bit. Like, oh my God, finally, validation again. But then I saw where this is going to go.
Yeah.
And where I see its importance is this, what I've always been talking about with mitochondrial signaling, metabolism and immunity, right?
Immunometabolism.
Yes.
It's a word.
Yes. And watch out, because I have been, so since that paper's come out, well, I don't want to give this up yet.
Maddie, go ahead with your question.
Yeah.
So, this is back to what you talked about at the beginning of the episode, that lactate isn't a bad thing to build up
Well,
during your workout.
to a point.
So is it worth taking like a bicarb supplement prior to working out to buffer the lactate, or do you want the lactate?
That's a great question. And that's you're not, so what you're referring to, so people get confusion of, they say it's lactic acid buildup, and that's wrong. It's not. It's actually a proton issue. It's when you're making more lactate, you're producing more proton. You're producing an acidic environment because of protons. It's separate, but it's not actually lactic acid. But you can use lactate as a marker to tell you that that's happening. But so what you're talking about is using bicarb to buffer the acidity, right? That's created by that production of too much glucose or too much lactate, because you're just following glycolysis's pathway. And so you're just buffering. It's a buffer. It's a buffer means just to kind of fine tune things. Like this is, I didn't bring this up, but there are these buffering enzymes in the brain I won't get into, but they're like buffering enzymes that are also made by muscle. But anyways, getting back to the bicarb, you're just buffering, so you're not going to affect. You're still going to be using lactate for the brain. I know what you're getting at. Are you going to hurt that buffering, that lactate that's needed for the brain with exercise? Right. The answer is no.
Okay.
Because it's a fine-tuning type of thing. And in fact, you're going to make it more efficient for the brain. Because, again, there's also this process of you don't want to overwhelm something.
Yeah.
But when you're making more lactate, you're creating more acidity. You're creating a metabolic acidosis. So can that affect the brain? Absolutely. So you're doing things to buffer that. But I can't emphasize. So I've just talked about the strength training, and then aerobic exercise, or high intensity type of training, interval training, or that adds to what I talked about. For instance, that's even a more effective way of like working on AMPK. That does what? AMPK phosphorylates PGC1 alpha in the cytoplasm and lets it get into the nucleus for nuclear transcription to improve
BDNF.
Well, not yet, but to improve mitochondrial biogenesis, and all those other things that
end with BDNF.
Yes. So she said BDNF. I just want people to know.
VEGF.
No, you're right. So PGC1 alpha does what? It helps cleave FNDC5, right?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, FNDC5 is what releases irisin then from the membrane.
And then irisin
is what's going to improve the BDNF, right? Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Third time's a charm with the segue.
Right? Seriously.
But
it's good though. That's what no one comes here to listen to my questions. They come to hear you dive down a rabbit hole. I'm just here to help.
That was probably, I went a little too far.
It was a heavier rabbit hole.
You know what that means though? I mean, there's sometimes podcasts I listen to where I just keep having to hit that 15-second back and listen to something through like 3 or 4 times. So, so for older individuals or maybe someone who's hurting or something like that who can't exercise or is a lot less mobile at the moment, how do you recommend them staying on top of all of these benefits that exercise does for the brain?
feel like you can still do some sort of like body weight resistance exercise.
So that's correct. So that's where we devised, like, this is where, at the Spire, I don't know if you remember, in the day when we did all our athletic endeavors, and we were in that concentrated area. I built a program for the elderly that would come walk in the facility, and we taught them how to use bands for resistance, because elderly people can use bands for resistance training. It's pretty remarkable where you can, when you train them correctly on using band therapy, it's an awesome exercise for resistance training that it doesn't take, you don't have to go to a gym. You can absolutely stimulate the muscle and build muscle. You can retain, right? We want to retain because we don't want sarcopenia. But for older individuals, what an amazing way to get them going and to push them into the more resistance training, because it's a start, it's a segue. And I can't tell you how many people we converted into going from those steps and then joining the gym in the facility to start working out and training. I was blown away by it. I was like, holy shit.
You don't even need a band, right? Like you could even do like
you can do body weight exercises that you can with your knees, and there's good, again, this comes down to working with your trainers and your people who are experts in helping you understand how to take advantage of what your body can do with what you have to work with, right?
So when it comes to our performance protocol, I always want us to be taking that like wide frame approach. So most people, they can exercise to help just keep their brain resilient. So for those who can't, today's performance protocol essentially is you can do plenty of body weight, just walking around, and if you can elevate to it, start implementing just some band exercises and resistance.
Sure. Yeah. And here's a stage of where we can talk about, well, are there some things out there in the world of peptides that can be
MOD-SC,
that can be muscle mimetics, that can have that influence? And yes, there's MOD-SC that can influence AMPK, NAD, glucose. That can what? Can that eventually have an effect on BDNF? Absolutely. Yeah. And more oxidative fibers of muscle? Absolutely. There's the peptide SS31 that does what? It works on improving what? That cardiolipin structure of the inner membrane of the cytochrome attachment that is critical for what we just talked about in changing fibers to oxidative fibers to be more efficient for people as they get older and so forth. And then there's the secretagogues, the tesamorelins, the hexarelins, the GHRHs, GHRPs, the ipamorelin, GHRP6, GHRP2, all these things that, what do they? They have their influence on what? AMPK, PGC1 alpha, FNDC5, activation, irisin. It's like, yes, there are ways to do this to get things going. And what is it always we're working against? We're working against pain for a lot of people. We're working against issues of where people are having issues with mobility and pain. Well, are there things you can do to offset that? We can. So it's that tailored approach to making it work so they eventually do get to the gym.
So on that topic of pain, and like to add to Matt's question for elderly who can't work out, if they have a Compex device, does using a Compex device cause the same like activation?
Brilliant.
That
exercise with? Compex is a device that used to be a medical device, and now you can get them on Amazon. That actually gives you. It's not like a TENS unit. It actually provides an action potential to the muscle for muscle recruitment. It's an incredible rehab device, but it's also an excellent device to get muscle functioning back when there are nerve injuries. But in elderly, it's an awesome device, as you know how we use it, to help in trying to start a process to rebuild and get them to get the muscle used to contracting, building up a little lactic acid. So here's the next question you should ask me. So if I'm using a Compex,
I thought you said you don't build up lactic acid.
well, you're making lactic no matter what with muscle contraction. You're gonna make lactate. Thank you.
Thank you. I just
Got
got
him.
Got him.
I got carried away in my talking, as I do sometimes, where people have to pull me down. Producing lactate.
Yes.
You're making lactate for what? For the brain. And what does lactate do? Lactate activates what? HCAR1 that activates VEGF, that activates BDNF. So you're helping the brain. You're doing things that are having a tremendous effect on the brain.
I'll be honest. I used mine on my abs while I was eating Reese's, and it worked.
Oh my. Okay.
Well, we don't even talk about that Reese's shit. Okay. But do you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
This is where it just gets so awesome and fun again.
And this is a meaty episode that has been awesome and fun, but I think that's enough.
Oh, okay.
I think that's enough deep dives for one episode.
Okay.
I think performance
Wait,
protocol can
let me
also
do that again.
be
Okay.
age isn't a discriminator. Injury isn't a discriminator. There is always a workaround.
Absolutely. Very well said, and she's that's how we practice. It's that same thing, right? Every patient is never the same. The heterogeneity of the population is insane. It's why you got to be out there practicing and not out there in your bully pulpit talking about shit you're not doing. And
Damn, we almost made it to the end of the episode without him going after somebody.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Episode wouldn't be complete without it.
Nope.
I'm so bad. Okay. Matt and Maddie, thank you for another great episode of the Redox Revolution. And I am back. I'm feeling it now. I am back.
You've been back for 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
See you next time.